Welcome to Growth with Portia, a weekly conversation for your personal and professional growth. Here is your host, Portia Booker.
Hey listeners, welcome to Growth with Portia. I'm your host, Portia Booker, and yes, this is my real name. So, question for you, did you bring your curious mind today? If so, I don't want to keep you waiting. Let's dive in. This conversation is episode 1 in the part 2 series of honoring my beloved mother, Sharonne Lopez, who made her transition from Earth on July 7, 2022. So today I am joined by an overcomer, once marked by the trauma scars from the School of Adversity. Little did she know, her dark times would soon birth a light to her own path of healing. Now she creates a therapeutic space for others where they are, no pun intended, inked with a new perspective and a colorful outlook on their dark moments. So without further delay, welcome owner of Ink Therapy Studios herself, Miss Butta Khan. How you doing today, Butta Khan?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Look, I'm always ecstatic to connect with other people who have kind of the same view on tattoos that I do, like what we were saying before we started the conversation. All my 7 tattoos that I have are a product of therapy. So I wear my heart on my sleeve 100%. And so, Butta Khan, I always love to start my conversations off with gratitude. What are you grateful for today?
Oh my goodness, the list is probably too long to go over. We can start with the small, big things as far as my health and the fact that I'm here, that I don't look like what I've been through. We could go toward my kids. I'm so grateful for my children and just my life in general. Like, things could be so much worse. They're amazing. I'm rich. I'm absolutely rich. I have my 3 boys that are beautiful and amazing. They're healthy. They're doing their own thing. I have a home, a vehicle, a business, and I've done it all. So the list goes on. I have a great circle of friends that are supportive and loving, along with my family. So I have secondary family. So I'm just truly grateful for just being here.
I love what you mentioned, but about I don't look like what I've been through. And I think a lot of us need to appreciate that more than anything, because think about it. We've all been to the School of Adversity at one point in our life, whether it was in our early childhood or mid-adult, whatever you want to say. And could you imagine if we literally replicated or bled out what we looked like, everything that we went through? We'd all look horrific.
Yeah, I've seen some and it's sad.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I'm grateful to not look like the Loch Ness monster of chaos that I've been through in my own life, struggling with my own mental health journey. Now I'm currently in the grief journey after the transition of my mom, so I can definitely relate there. And so, Butta Khan, I got to ask this, as what I mentioned, ink therapy, as we know, is a form of expression for many individuals, including myself. What did it take for you to convert the pain in your life into a permanent purpose?
I mean, it started in childhood. I mean, I've always been into art since I was a young kid. I was drawn at 5. So art has just been a gift I was given, my entire life. So that was my escape. A lot of times I was drawing, painting, creating things, making things. Art was just in me. So no matter what was happening from a kid on up, that was, I found myself doing that to take myself away from whatever was happening. I guess that, bled on into the tattoos. Once I got into it, 4 years ago, it just grew from there, because before tattoos, I was doing what's called pointillism, or pictures with dots. I was also doing glass work. And that grew from me before that doing the crocheting. There was always something dramatic going on in my life. And I would create something new to either help me get away from that or move on with life as far as taking care of my children. It just ended up going from helping myself to helping other people.
And what would you say, Butter, during your journey of healing, right? Because you're creative like myself. I mean, and as we both know, creativity is like a flame. It never goes out. It may dim a little bit, but then once it embers up like a blaze in a forest, sometimes you can't turn it off. And so how do you, Butter, manage that balance when the creativity is overflowing and you have to obviously put it somewhere? So how do you divvy that up between your clients and then for yourself?
It always falls into place. I think it comes when it's needed. You can have ideas. They'll be placed with the right people at the right time. That's all I can really say. Like, if I have an idea for a tattoo, a lot of times, that will grow from someone that maybe said something to me. If you came to me and you're like, I don't know what I want to do. And I'll be like, from talking to you, I'm like, oh my goodness, this would be perfect because this means this and that means that. And, if it resonates with you, which after we're talking, a lot of times it does because we're bouncing off each other, that's what you go towards. I don't really think it's too overwhelming anymore as far as ideas. I don't go outside the box too much as far as doing too many different things as I used to do. But like I said, it always falls into place where it needs to be at the right time. So, as we get older, we learn and, life just kind of works itself out.
So I got to ask the obvious question, Butta Khan. How many tattoos are you up to?
Oh my goodness. I tried to count them before. Small ones, it's hard to count because some of them are really, really tiny, like in my ear. Last time I counted, I would just say about 28 to 30. It's not as many as people think. I'm not as filled up as they think I would be for a so-called tattoo artist. So,
well, 28 to 30, I think that's pretty common for someone in your profession, in the space that you're in. I'm up to 7. I would love to be where you're at when I grow up. So that's goals.
I'm not as filled as people think. I have some of my arm, different parts, but they're not I'm not full, I could probably hide everything but my ear and my hand.
And so, Butter, for you, what tattoo would you say on you that gives you that reminder of your purpose and your calling to help people to convert their dark moments into something light and colorful?
All of them, because they all grow from the same story. I have lotus. I have the cycle of life of the lotus on my arm, which goes from the bud and then it's blooming. And the quote that I came up with says, I will walk till I run, till I fly, till I soar. Meaning no matter what, you just don't stop. And that just goes really, a lot deeper than that. Also on my left leg, I did these myself. So they're a lot more meaningful too, because I did them. I guess some people would consider that a self-inflicting pain, but really it's intriguing because you're so into creating something beautiful that you kind of zone out into the therapy part. That's my therapy when I'm doing my artwork. On my leg, I have a warrior woman who kind of resembles me. She even has locks, and there's wildflowers on there, and understanding about the wildflowers coming from the mud and the darkness and gloominess, but they're so bright and beautiful that that's God's creation. A lot of beautiful things come out from the ugly, which is a lot of things that, grow from what I do. So those would be two of some of, just a couple of the favorite ones besides the ones that are for my kids.
We have something very similar in common, Butta Khan. I have a centaur tattoo on my back. That was the very first tattoo I got when I was 24 or 25. And she's tribal, because I believe in my past life, I was some type of warrior at some point. And the way that she looks, she's very tribal with piercings, tattoos. I mean, it's a very detailed piece on my back. A lot of people don't even know that I have that tattoo. But at that time of my life, that very pivotal moment, I was seeking a warrior of some sort because I needed saving. And little did I know that warrior was within me. She was just dormant. She wasn't awakened fully yet like she is today. And so, Butta Khan, really quick, for our listeners who are tuning in, if they want to connect with you and get their new permanent inked story from you, is there a website or social media handle you can share with us today?
Working on a new website that's not up yet, but I do have Facebook. My information is on Facebook, which is under Butta Khan. Also Ink Therapy Studio, and that's on Instagram as well, ink.therapy.studio in Bedford. And in my open social media, a lot of people have it as well, is That Girl Butta with an A. So all of my work is on all of my social media sites. So they can always find that. And then you can just Google Ink Therapy Studio in Bedford Heights and you'll find me.
Excellent. So definitely everybody can connect with Butta Khan and get your new colorful, dark to light contrast perspective on life. And so Butta Khan, I gotta ask this too. I mean, obviously you're creative. We both are. And when you are crafting your beautiful tattoo art, what really sparks to you first? Is it the image itself? Is it words? What really would you say really comes to you first? I can say for me, as a writer and also a digital artist, a lot of times it's words. Words just keep like buzzing in my ear like a bee outside. And I'm like, okay, I'll do something with it. What would you say that is for you? Is it an image that pops in your head? Is it a word? How does that work for you?
It's energy. I read energy. So if you came in to me and said you wanted something, you're either going to have a picture or an idea. It's the energy that I pull from you before I see a picture or understand the idea of what I'm doing. So I can tell if you're sad or conflicted or hurt or excited about something or overcoming something, but I can read that. And it's the curiosity for me that wants to ask more questions to figure out what that really is, to understand what I need to do. So it grows from actually the energy, because sometimes it could come in words. Sometimes it could come in pictures, like, oh my gosh, that really means that. Or if you have a picture, I'm like, well, what does that mean to you? And then I start connecting it and I'm like, you should have this on there too. Maybe we could change it up. And so I would have to go with both. So it would boggle down to energy.
I love what you just mentioned, one about the energy and also picking up their emotional cues. Because I mean, we can all come in and say, oh, I'm fine, but we both know what that means. That's like, I'm hiding something. I just don't want you to know. I just want to appear based on the societal prescription that I have to be fine, but I'm really not.
It's basically.
Yeah, and we got to get out of that, that common thinking pattern of we have to be fine all the time. Nothing's fine. I mean, every single day there's going to be something that goes on. Could you imagine if every day was fine?
I mean, actually, I'll play devil's advocate with that. It is fine. You say fine because, so first of all, not everyone wants to hear your long story. Sometimes people do ask as a common question of courtesy. When someone really cares and wants to know how you're doing, then you have to decipher if they want to know if that's the devil or they really trying to help you. But you are fine. You are fine because you're still here. And when you're still here, every moment past the present moment is another chance to make it fine. You're good. You may not be feeling great. You may not be doing well as, financially or whatever the situation is, but you absolutely are fine. But you're right. We do have to, get better in touch with our inside, to heal ourselves, because there's always something going on. And a lot of us don't know how to deal with that. And then what happens is we end up passing that on to other people, our children. So we are fine, but we do need to find a better way to get better.
Oh, I agree 100%. And thank you for like playing devil's advocate here, because sometimes I only see it from one perspective. Right. I see it from an optimist, but I have to also remember that everybody doesn't have the same thinking pattern as I do. Everybody has not reached a certain level in their healing journey, because healing is a journey. It's an everyday process. It's not like you can practice it one day and be like Mickey Mouse from Fantasia and, everything's all fine and dandy. It doesn't work that way, as we both know. Healing is a journey. Healing is not pretty, but it's worth it. And that's why, but I really appreciate what you're doing in this space to really help other people heal through art. I mean, because they say music heals, art does too.
Yeah.
Because you're converting that emotion, like what you mentioned. I can tell if somebody's sad. I can tell if they're grief-stricken. I can tell if they're really excited or jovial or anxious. And you're able to channel those emotions and put it into something concrete. What a gift. What definitely a gift that you have, Butter.
Thank you.
And Butter, for you, when you were talking about, emotions, what would you say when your clients come in? Some of them are, depending on the energy that you pick up, what would you say is the common emotion that you get when you're spending time with them once you're in the ink session? What's the emotion that you find?
A lot of the times, a high percentage of the times, it's heaviness. It's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of hurt. We're hurting. We are in a world of just ugliness right now. A lot of people didn't know how to heal before. A lot of people seem that they're spiritual and everything like that, but they really are getting over something because we've all been through something in our journey. I mean, it's impossible to say that you had the perfect life, because even the ones that had the so-called great perfect life, where they grew up with both mom and dad, the house and everything was great, they went to school, there's something there, whether you want to believe it or not. That would be like a whole nother meeting. So commonly it would be, kind of hurt or sadness or confusion. And I get a lot of those heavy hearts when they walk in the door and they're not sure what to do with them. Some of them do, but they're not sure what to do with them. So the more you talk to people and bring that out, it kind of opens the door to a better understanding of what angle they need to go in to start their healing process or continue it in a better way.
But I love what you mentioned just now about the heaviness that plagues a lot of people, obviously, because in the world that we live in today, there's so much going on. I mean, we are flooded from the minute we wake up. I'm somebody who has 2 phones, so I have to check both of my phones at a certain time throughout the day. Then we're flooded by emails, social media, people on our street in the neighborhood. If we live with people, we're flooded by their emotions. I have a fur kid, so he's pretty chill, but still, I mean, every once in a while, I get a whiff of him and I'm like, okay, Mr. Fletcher, calm down for a minute. And so, Butter, for you, with all these heavy emotions that tend to sometimes come through your chair, I mean, you're there kind of like therapist of the hour, right? How do you find that balance between your passion of loving to help these people, your clients, and also your mental well-being?
Because I have to understand it. It took a long time. I mean, I'm 43, so it took a long time to get here. I had to understand through my emotions and through everything that I had been through, that's why I'm here. I have a high purpose, and my purpose is not just art. My art, I have had people talk to me to even help me come to this conclusion that usually, people say you were given a talent, use your talent, share it, but you're sharing it for a reason. When you're giving blessings, you give them. That's why you have them. You can't hold everything to yourself. So finding that balance would be understanding that my art is to help people. So I can't bring in everyone's pain, but I can try to help them get through it or find a way to get through it. So that balance would be knowing that. So if you're sad, it's not because you need to make me sad. I need to understand that you came to me for a reason. There's a reason why you're here now. Help you with that. And I feel better about that. So use my purpose. And then I feel better about myself. And a lot of times it's not because you are here for me to give you a message. Maybe you were here to help me with something as well. A lot of times we teach people something or say something to them. You find something that was like, damn, okay, so I needed to hear that. That just made I resonate with that. So finding that balance of really getting myself together, and it makes me want to be a better person. makes me really want to understand myself and continue to heal myself. Because what good am I if if I'm all messed up and I can't help other people? So that would be how I deal with that, to make sure that I'm good, to make sure that my soul is good, not just to come into work and look pretty and do great work, but make it mean something. So it pushes me to be a better human. And that's how I just try to get through that and keep all that, in a positive light.
But I'm the same like you. I mean, I obviously host multiple shows a week. I mean, I release 2 a week, soon to be 3, probably in the next couple weeks or so. But it's the same for me. When I speak with people like you, for me, it's therapy for me because 1, I'm connecting with someone. 2, I'm hearing their story. I'm giving them a platform to share the side of them that maybe people don't know. We've reached a point in society where everything's superficial in a way. You don't know people's true backstory of why they do what they do, why they pursued entrepreneurship, why they, run a certain nonprofit because of their childhood upbringing or, different things in their life. Like me, I had my dream job. I tell people all the time, I had my dream job and I had a mental breakdown. But that breakdown was the best earthquake in my life to land me in the seat of a breakthrough to be in my true calling now of providing this space for other people, for entrepreneurs, for their clients to be able to better connect with them. Because let's be honest, we see a logo and we just think, oh, okay, we know that brand. But do you really know the backstory?
Right.
There's a person back there. There's a purpose.
Yes.
There's proof within the pudding. And I think everybody's story is valuable. And that's why I hold space for people, because I really want to hear their story. How did you go from X to Y? Yeah. And what can somebody else gather from that?
Because a lot of people see, the results. They don't really see the struggle behind it and what it took to get there. People are like, oh my God, you've been tattooing for 4 years? That's amazing. You're just lucky. Like, look, you got your whole building and you have this and you have that, but you don't know what it took in the 43 years of my life to get there. It didn't just happen yesterday. I didn't just wake up and call someone and I just had money in my account and went, boom, I'm a tattoo artist, and some people actually have said that to me, like, it just happened. No, it didn't. It took years and years and years of pain and struggle and tears and work. It was hard work.
And they say hard work pays off, and I'm a product of that. Absolutely. I mean, I had to pivot after my television career ended, but I'll be honest with you, when I would pick up a pen to try to write anything, for 3 years, I couldn't write after what happened with my whole television experience. But during that pivotal time for me, that gave me an opportunity to either continue to be a victim of my circumstance or become a victor. And so I chose my mental health. And, that's why another reason why I created this platform was for people to share those mental health struggles, because you never know how the lyrics of your life struggle could be the lifeline for somebody else.
Which is why I'm here today.
Exactly.
Why I'm here today.
Exactly.
Your struggles, my struggles. I've talked about many of them, which is why I do the poetry, why I do my artwork, and everything is my backstory. My backstory. Everyone has an ugly backstory. I can't say I was on drugs and, got shot and beat to death, half died, or was homeless in my car, but there was some abuse. There was some ugliness. There was a lot of struggle, So there was a little bit of everything. There was damn near homelessness a little bit, but so yeah, they don't understand because they think they're the only ones that have been through something, which is why I do what I do.
I think too, Butta Khan, we've been conditioned to only play the highlight reel of our life. When I do different presentations, I tell people the worst part of you is the best part of you.
Yeah, it is. Because if it didn't happen, how would you be able to understand what not to be, what not to tolerate, what not to do, or learn from that? You can't enjoy the success if you haven't had the struggles and the denials And, so it's impossible to really appreciate it. I appreciate everything that I have now because I know what it's like to not. And that's why I do things for people, because I know what it is to hurt. So why would you want someone to feel the hurt?
Ooh, come on. I feel like I'm already at a poetry slam. When is your next one, Butta Khan? If our listeners wanted to come and, whether participate virtually or me, I'll come in person. When is your next poetry event or therapy and ink, whatever you want to call it?
Unfortunately, I do not do the poetry nights as of right now. I may pick them back up in the future. What I did decide to do was put those on hold due to not just busy season. I'm stepping into the poetry world. There's a lot of artists that I had the pleasure of meeting and the honor to work with that I would rather just support. It's a little easier. For example, Love Ties, Morgan Page. There's a Just Cause. There's a lot of talented artists, Wall Street West. There's so many people that I could name that I would much rather support. It's easier to do that. So I do attend their events when I have the chance. And then sometimes they'll have me feature and just do some poetry with them. It's a beautiful thing. It's very therapeutic. So, I mean, a lot of times if I can't attend their events or if I can catch a whim of their advertising, even if I can't, I do try to post them and support them with those. So hopefully the world can see those too and go support them as well.
Yes. And, there's just power in words. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
The way that we speak, the words that we speak to ourselves, the words that we circulate around ourselves, they have power, they have meaning. And, we got to get out of that thought pattern of words don't have power, because they truthfully do. Every day that I wake up, I ask God to give me the right words to say to people that uplifts them, whether they agree or disagree, but does not tear them down. And Butta Khan, oh my goodness, I knew this conversation was worth the wait. We are going to be wrapping up here soon. And once again, I thank you so much for you providing this space of healing for people. 2, taking the time out of your busy day to spend time with me. And 3, turning your pain into purpose, into power, because so many people they need that gift that you have. And I'm grateful that you're using it in that way to not only service people, but also yourself. Butta Khan, you have left us with so many gems, food for thought, and just permanent phrases that we can embark or incorporate into our everyday life. What words of inspiration, Butta Khan, can you leave with our listeners today? Whether it's someone who was once in your shoes that was lost and maybe they weren't sure how to convert their dark moments into something light, or if it's someone else who is in the tattoo space like you and they want to maybe pivot in the way that they do their work. What words of inspiration can you leave with our listeners today?
I would say that if you really want it, you can do it. It takes a lot of work. Never feel like you're alone, because even when you are, you're not. When you have a purpose, God will provide what you need to give you what you need to fulfill that. So it comes, but you have to have a lot of patience and push through. I didn't get PPP loans or, grants or anything like that. I'm a single mom of 3 boys I had to raise going through domestic, abuse. All I know is that when you have something burning inside you, the only question you have to give yourself is what if you didn't do it? You wouldn't know what you can do until you actually tried it. If it's meant, it will happen and no one can stop that. So I would just say, really just push through what you really want, but make sure it's what you want, not for other people, but for yourself. Because a lot of us get into finding what's the best, biggest hype thing to do, but it's not really your passion. Yep. So when you have a passion and you have a good purpose and you do it with positivity and you want to do it with your heart for real reasons, then it will happen for you. But you have to understand that it's going to take a lot of struggles. It's not always pretty, but you can make it beautiful.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. You are so right, Butta Khan, about that. When you have passion and drive with something, no matter how silly it may sound to the world, remember the word vision has two eyes for a reason because we have two eyes. The vision was given to us as a customization, as a tailored endeavor. Just because other people don't see the vision does not mean it cannot work. So I
Yeah.
definitely agree with what you just said, Butta Khan. I thank you so much. Well, everybody, that was the owner of Ink Therapy Studios, Miss Butta Khan herself, that you heard from. And that concludes another episode of Grew with Portia on this Motivation Monday. Thanks for listening and have a great and awesome week, everybody.